Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and this project is going to be amazing. I'm very excited. This is actually going to be 2 videos. We're going to have to split it up because we can't do all of it in one. Now, I just wanted to start off by showing you a really advanced version of what we're going to build, something that I've put together. Now, yours is not going to be nowhere near as crazy as this is. This has a ton of extra features that you're not going to have in your project, but I just wanted to show you what you could build using these concepts. So this game is called Dead Wrong. Click to play. So we're on the destroyed freeway. We have some commands here, and I can type in commands. Let's try search. Broken freeway is packed with abandoned cars and bodies of the dead and undead alike. We can go north or south or east or west. Let's try going north. Okay, so we've come into the rundown supermarket. Notice my map updated as well. Let's search in the supermarket. Okay, I can't get into the freezer. Let's go east. Ooh, there's a forest here. Okay, let's try going south. And there's a cool suburb. Let's go south again. Okay, let's go west. All right, let's go west again. Let's go north. I'm just kind of walking around the map. Uh-oh, someone just texted me. I'm just kind of walking around the map to see what we have. Let's search here. Ooh, I get a shovel. Notice how the shovel got added to my inventory now. So now I know if I go back up to that. Let's go north, and let's search here. Ooh, now I have a safe combo. Okay, let's go east and east. Let's use shovel. Uh-oh, the zombies are getting closer to me. Okay, so I use my shovel. I've dug out. I found a talisman. So that's how that's a very advanced version of this game. Over here, I want to kind of show you how we can start building something that kind of works the same way. Now, if we look over here, notice that this grid, this is a 3x3 grid for a map. If I'm in this position, we can call this position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what we can do is we can approximate this idea by, let's say, starting your player in position 5, and if they want to move north, so move up to position 2, we could subtract 3 from the area, so from where they are. So 5 becomes 4, 3, 2. So we could subtract 3. If they want to move south, we can add 3. If they want to move to the left, we subtract 1. If they want to move to the right, we add 1, right? So that's how we're going to do this. We're going to basically pretend like we're using a 3D grid just by adding and subtracting either 1 or 3 to move around our map. Okay, so I have all of the basic stuff here. Now, I'm not going to be typing all this code. I'm just going to walk you through what I've already put together. And then, I think it's a little easier that way instead of listening to me type stuff all day or watching me type stuff all day. Let me check this text message really quickly. Sorry, guys. Oh, Joe Jorgensen, who's running for president, just texted me wanting my support. No thanks, Joe Jorgensen. Okay. Anyway, so so what I've done in here, I have an image ID that we're going to use later, and I set that to width to be 400 pixels because this picture was way, way big. Now, your pictures, I want to point this out. You're not going to use the same pictures I'm using. You're going to find pictures that match your locations in your game, and you're going to use them. I would recommend setting them to the same width and height so that it doesn't, mess up your screen every time you go to a new location. Okay, so this is all that. Okay, now in here, we're going to get into the actual game itself. So we have our input and output sections. We have an image element with an ID of IMG, which is what we want. That's handling this. Then we have a div, which actually this isn't working properly. I tried to set it as a W3 container, but it's not really doing what I want. So I'm going to get rid of that div. Why is my click not working? Okay. So we have an image. We have a paragraph element, which is going to update our user. about what's going on in the game. Then we have an input section here and a button. Okay, now let's get into the script. So we have a couple of arrays here that we need to check, or we need to create. First, we're going to create an array called map. And the map is going to have 9 indexes in it. So from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to update this array with the name of the location we're in, right? So for this example, I'm just doing room 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through 9. Over here in dead wrong, let's say, room 1 would have been, office building. Room 9 would have been, empty house or basement or whatever. You can update the room based on, or you can change the name of the room based on the location in your game. So if you're making a space game, these can be like different sections of the galaxy. If you're making a fantasy game, it can be like forest or castle or dungeon or whatever, right? This is where the creativity comes in. Then we want to create an array of images. Now these are going to be this is just for us to update the image on our page. So you're going to create another array, call it images. And then in your images array, you're going to type the name of the image that corresponds with the name of your location. So if you have a forest image, and that's going to be for for area 1 up in the top left-hand corner, then this will be forest, and then down here it'd be like forest.jpg, and you have them all over here, right? Okay, now we want to set the player's start location. Now this map location, we're going to create a variable called map location. We're going to set it equal to 4. Now, some of you are probably thinking, Mr. Storm, you said we were going to start in the middle of the map. Why would we start at 4 if it's the middle? Well, it is the middle because this would be 0, this would be 1, this would be 2, this would be 3. Now that's going to be 4. Okay, so we're going to start at 4 in the middle. So at the beginning of the game, we'll start our character or our player at map location 4. Then we want to initialize the player's input. So get some input from the player. We're going to set that to an empty string at the beginning. Then we want to initialize our game message, which is going to be basically our output. Now we want to create another variable or another array called actions I know. This is going to be actions that your game can recognize that your user types into the input box. So at the beginning of the game, or at this early stage, until we get to the next video, we want actions I know to be very easy, just north, east, south, or west, or whatever directional inputs you want to allow your user to use. For us, just north, east, south, and west, because for the purpose of this video, we just want to be able to move around our game map, and then we're going to figure out all the other stuff later on. So then we have action. Action is just going to be set to an empty string at first. Then we have our input and output fields. This is input, output. We know how to do that. We have our images. So we're going to tie the image to the image ID. Then we have our button, which we all know we've done that a couple times before. We're going to call a play game. Now, one thing that we're doing here is we're going to call the render function before we do anything else. I want to call the render function at the top because our game wouldn't actually render unless we called it at the top, because we haven't set this to be like a background image on a div like we did last time. So we're going to call the render function first. And now let's get into the play game function. So when we click enter, what we want to do is we want to set the player's input to be equal to the input.value, but then we want to lowercase. Basically, I want to lowercase everything they type. So if they type capital north and hit enter, it just turns it into north, right? Oh, my face is kind of covering that up, but you can see right there, that's north right there. So we want to turn it into lowercase. All right. We want to reset the game message and reset the action whenever we hit enter. Okay, now we need something called a for loop. This for loop may look really confusing at first, but it's really not that big of a deal. So we have for var I equals 0. We're setting I to be 0 at first. And then while I is less than actions I know dot length, meaning the array called actions I know dot length, then we're going to keep looping, and we're going to add 1 to I every time we loop. Now inside of that, we're going to check to see if the player's input dot index of actions I know does not equal -1. What we're doing there is we're basically checking to see if player's input, if what they typed matches something inside of our array called actions I know. If it does, we're going to change the action to equal actions I know and then the index. So we're going to change the action to be what they already, or what they matched with. And then I have this console.log statement so I can see that it's actually working. All right. So now that we have our action set, we're going to create this section called a switch. A switch will basically allow us to pick from multiple cases, not just one, is this condition met or is it not? We can take something and then check a range of conditions to update things as we go through. So for example, this switch is tied to the action variable that we just set in the above step. If the case, or if the action is set to north, then we're going to -3 from our map location variable. Which means if we're in, if we're at room 5, which is index 4 in the array, we -3, that brings us to index 1, which is room 2. Does that make sense? I probably should have called these rooms 0, 1, 2 through 8, but whatever. I mean, you guys understand. You get it. Okay, and so we're going to subtract 3 if we're going north. If we're going east, which I can't remember which way it is for the screen that you're looking at. Basically, if we're going toward, New York, we're going to be going 1. We're going to add 1. If we're going south, we're going to add 3. No, if we're going, toward, what's south of us? Mexico, we're going to +3. If we're going to the west toward California, we're going to subtract 1, right? So this is how we're going to actually move around the game. Like I said before, by adding or subtracting indexes from where we are. Now the default down here, basically we'll just give them a message saying, I don't understand what you just typed. Basically, I can't understand what that means. And then when we're done with the play game method, we're going to render the game again. Now the render, all that does is set output.innerHTML to be the map location, and the image source to be the map location image that we've typed or that we grabbed here, and the output.innerHTML plus equals, so it's going to have the map location plus the game message. So the game message would be something like, I don't understand that, or whatever. Now this is very, very simple. This is a very easy execution of this game. All we want to do is be able to move around our screen here. So east, I can go east. I can go west, right? I can keep going west. Now, if we go outside of the boundaries, it's going to, so right there I was just at 4, which should have been the edge, but I just went -1. So I went back to 3, which kind of wrapped me back up and around. So that's something, that's a problem that we need to fix. Also, if I want to go north from here, it's undefined and my picture goes away because we've walked outside of the map, which we don't want to be able to do. Both of those problems we're going to fix in the next section of this project. This might actually be, I don't know, 2-3 videos long just to make sure that we can get through everything properly. But hopefully this video is short and sweet enough for you guys to at least build the main function of your game. After this video, we're going to get into handling some of those movement issues we were having and actually add some of the game part to it, so to make a real game out of it. All right, cool. Thanks for paying attention. I'll see you in the next video.